Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. In today's video we are going to be doing another update of Washington Reagan National Airport. Now if you remember, it's been a while since we've done a Reagan update. I can't remember exactly how long, but it has been quite a few months now, and that is because I have completely rebuilt Reagan from scratch. If you remember back to my previous updates of Reagan, I started to renovate certain sections of my older Reagan, and that was an attempt to kind of modernize the markings, make the airport overall just a better layout, and that was going well. I went through some of the concourses, but then when I got to redoing the runway, I came into a problem. Now on my previous Reagan, for some reason when I was building it, I used real paint to paint the runway markings, which is not a very good idea, because when you use real paint, there's kind of like a layer that it adds. So if I painted over those runway markings, it would have left like a bump in the runway where the old markings were. So I originally tried to sand it down and scrape away the paint markings, but in doing that, I then chipped into the wood, and overall it just wouldn't have been a very smooth surface to do the new runway markings over that. So in the end, I decided to just start Reagan from scratch. I got rid of the old board and I got a new board. I won't show the overall board in this update, but I will do that in an update following this one. Probably not the second one, but maybe the third one will get an overview of this Reagan. But generally it's pretty much the same layout, it's the same general design. I've just made some adjustments to it. I know I said I was going to add a second side to the American Eagle section, but instead of doing that, I've used the space to add a Concourse A, which is where Southwest, Frontier and Air Canada park. I didn't have that originally, but now I do. So we have Concourse A on this layout, which I didn't originally have, and all the other concourses, so the American concourse, the United and Delta concourse, they've all been expanded slightly, so they all have a few more gates. And of course, along with that, I've just refreshed the markings and all of that kind of stuff. So with that being said, let's just go ahead and get started here on the runway. Here we have an American Eagle ERJ 145. He arrived in from Bangor quite a while ago, and he's just on the runway about to head out to Providence. Then next up here, just taxiing out to the runway, here we have this American Eagle CRJ 700. He arrived in from Jacksonville and is going to be heading out to Tallahassee. Then after that, starting off here at the gates, here we have this American Eagle Embraer 175. He arrived in from Atlanta and he's going to be heading out to Hilton Head. After that, we have the second American Eagle ERJ 145. He arrived in from White Plains and he's going to be heading out to Knoxville. Then next up here, we have this American Eagle CRJ 200. He arrived in from Jackson and he's going to be heading out to Tulsa. I usually use the American CRJ 200s in Reagan updates just to kind of fill out the American Eagle section, as previously I didn't have that many American Eagle aircraft, but I think that this may be my last Reagan update with these CRJ 200s, and because of course now I have the ERJ 145s and I do have a couple CRJ 700s coming in soon, so I think after this update I will have enough Eagle aircraft to justify finally removing these CRJ 200s from updates, and because these were retired in I believe 2020. But then after that, here we have another American Eagle Embraer 175. He arrived in from Columbus and he's going to be heading out to Kansas City. And then finally here for the American Eagle section, here we have an American Eagle CRJ 200. He arrived in from Pensacola and he's going to be heading out to Raleigh-Durham. And then next up here, moving on to the American mainline aircraft, here we have this American One World 737-800. He arrived in from Dallas and he's going to be heading out to Chicago O'Hare. Then next up here we have this American regular livery 737-800. He arrived in from Tampa and he's going to be heading out to Miami. And then finally here for American, here we have the American Airlines Airbus A321neo. He arrived in from Orlando and he's going to be heading out to Phoenix. Next, moving around, here we have the JetBlue Airbus A320. He's just arrived in from Fort Lauderdale. And then next up here we have this Alaska Airlines Boeing 737-800. He's getting ready for a flight out to Portland, Oregon. I did see the 737-800 operating this flight out to Oregon, which is a pretty nice change, because originally, of course, Alaska were flying all their destinations on the Airbus A321neo, so we do finally have this 737-800. I don't know how long this will be operating the Portland route. It could have just been a one-time thing, but it is pretty nice to just see a Boeing aircraft instead of, you know, all the Airbus aircraft we get from Alaska here at DCA. But speaking of the Airbus aircraft, here we have the Alaska Airbus A321neo. He's going to be heading out to Los Angeles. Then next up, moving around to Delta, here we have this Delta Airbus A319. He's going to be heading out to Minneapolis. Then here we have this Delta Connection Embraer 170. He's going to be heading out to Boston. And then finally here for Delta, here we have the Delta Boeing 757-200. He is of course going to be heading out to Salt Lake City. Moving around here to United, here we have this United Express CRJ 550. He's going to be heading out to Newark. Then here we have this United Airbus A319. He's going to be heading out to Chicago O'Hare. And then following on from that, here we have a United Express Embraer 175. He is also going to be heading out to Chicago O'Hare. This is something I saw this week. A United A319 and a United Embraer 175 were both heading out to Chicago on two separate flights, but they were scheduled about 10 minutes apart from each other, which is pretty interesting. So of course the A319 will head out to Chicago, and then 10 minutes later this Embraer 175 is also going to be heading out to Chicago. And for the first time in one of these Reagan updates, we have Concourse A. So starting off here at Concourse A, here we have this Southwest Airlines Boeing 737-700 in the Canyon Blue color scheme. He's just arrived in from Tampa and he's going to be heading out to Providence. After that, here we have this Southwest Airlines Boeing 737-800 in the Heart livery. He arrived in from Nashville and he's going to be heading out to Atlanta. Then next up here we have the Air Canada Express CRJ-900. He's going to be heading out to Montreal. And then finally here for this Reagan update, here we have this Southwest Airlines Boeing 737-700 in the Heart livery. He's arrived in from Chicago Midway and he's going to be heading out to Dallas Love Field. And just like that, that does conclude today's update of Washington Reagan National Airport. I hope you did enjoy. And yeah, apart from that, there's not really much else to go over. So as I said, I want to thank you very much for watching today's update, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.